Interesting. Let's see if everybody can hear me, see me, smell me. I don't know, whatever. All right. I see me on the screen. Let's see.
Me, I don't know.
Oops, here we go.
All right. I see me on the screen.
Okay. Paul gave me a 5x5. Robert gave me a 5x5. Good deal. All right. Excuse me. Before we start, for those of you guys that don't know, and inside Russia, Constantine just showed up in the live chat. He is doing a premiere right after this at 9 o'clock. So we're going to end right on time, maybe even a minute early, so we can bounce over there. Excuse me. The channel is Inside Russia. We have my mods would put that link up a couple of times throughout the night because I'm going to mention it. And inevitably, we're going to be talking about some of this here because I know in my soliloquy it's going to be part of it. But Constantine's going to go over the Russian point of view of what's going on in Ukraine. And I think that's all important for us to hear because, as you guys know, the U.S. media, at least, is blowing this so freaking far out of proportion to cover Joe's butt. It's unbelievable. Okay. So I think it's all worthwhile that we kind of bounce over and get it straight from somebody who's there. Okay. If you will. Now, chances are most of you watched my videos today. Okay. You saw what I told you about Croatia saying if anything goes on, they're out of there. Okay. You know about Germany saying nothing's coming through Germany, nothing's going through their airspace whatsoever would be. Couple of you guys in the comment, most of y'all agreed with me, okay? But I've watched a whole bunch of other channels and I seem to be standing on an island all by myself on YouTube here going, this ain't gonna happen. And I'm sorry, I'm not falling for the fear porn that the media is trying to do. I've got too much self-respect to listen to CNN or something like that. So I do plenty of my own research, checking out Middle Eastern news, European news, Asian news, Australian news to see what else is going on. Talking to other people in other countries and getting the scoop directly from them, okay? Anybody can find an article on the internet somewhere, put a screenshot of it up on their YouTube channel and read it to you, okay? Those are the kind of videos that I'm like, shut this off. I can go read the damn article by myself, all right? So I want to give you this after everybody's saying, oh, gee, you were listening to RT, you know, well, yeah, okay, because I found RT to be a pretty reliable news source. But so let's use a U.S. source, okay? A couple of them, Breitbart. I think you guys know who this one is. Headline, Ukraine says destabilization fueled by Biden administration hysteria, not Russia. No shit, Sherlock. I've been saying this since the beginning, okay? Tom Cotton, okay? Senator, we should provide as much support to Taiwan as we are to Ukraine. China is a much bigger threat than Russia. Gee, really? No, never heard that one before. I haven't said that ever, right? Okay. But of course, then you've got to get the good old U.S. administration blowing shit out of proportion. State Department says no signs of Russian de-escalation toward Ukraine, defends NATO unity. Okay. If that's not the biggest bunch of crap you've ever heard, okay. First off, yeah, there's no sign of Russian de-escalation because there hasn't been any escalation. You can't go down if you didn't go up. Simple, okay. Defends NATO unity. Please tell me why the U.S. and our lapdog, the U.K., all of a sudden are starting to have the other members of NATO saying, you know what, we don't think so. Because I'll give you a couple of points on why I don't think this is going to happen. First off, Europe needs Russian natural gas, especially Germany, because Angela Merkel completely bent Germany over the bar and had its way, had her way with Germany. So that's screwed. All right. Germany cannot go against Russia, period. And then for all the people that are coming up and going, oh, well, China will get right in and they'll be right with Russia and everything like that. Are you freaking kidding me? You do realize that China gets a boatload of grain from Ukraine. Ukraine is one of the biggest suppliers of grain to China. Okay? I don't think they're going to cut off that supply. Oh, but do you want to add something else? China's Silk Road project, so they can increase all their trade with Europe? Want to guess where that goes through? Gee, you think China's interested in destroying its economy? There is no possible good reason for this. I have yet to hear one other than people going, yay, yay, hysteria crap. Okay? Putin is not stupid. Okay? I don't particularly care for his style, but he's not a stupid man. But hell, I didn't particularly care for Donald Trump's style, but I liked his policies. Remember, Putin's background is intelligence. What do you think he's doing right now? He's gathering all the intelligence he can, watching NATO sit around, sit and spin, to use the old term, see how discombobulated NATO is, and he hasn't done anything. I mean, he's laughing his way with a shot of vodka and a little bit of caviar, going to bed at night, going, what a bunch of buffoons. But like I said, the Ukraine, what they came out, the destabilization is fueled by the Biden administration hysteria. You can't get any more damning than that. Like I said, I watch the other channels. I will respect what they have to say. But nobody has given me one good reason why this is going to happen. Oh, we're going to war in days. Oh, we're going to war in weeks. Really? Why? What is your evidence? What is your proof? Well, they want, Russia wants the grain from Ukraine. Great. I want $1 million. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it. You can want all you want. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. That's some of the silly crap that's going on. And I am very interested in hearing Constantine's take on this tonight. So I would definitely advise everybody, if they are interested in what's going on in Ukraine, to go listen to this. So that's that part. All right. Other thing I want to bring up, and this one's just kind of another, maybe us, okay, the purebloods out here, maybe we're actually winning in a spot. Anybody see this come out today? South Carolina has a bill on the floor of their house to make it a criminal offense to inquire about somebody's vaccination status. No walking into Walmart and saying, may I see your card? No employer saying, what's your status? It's a maximum $14,000 fine and 1 year in jail for somebody doing it. If this one passes, expect a lot of states to follow behind with this one. Thought I'd give you some good news after my little rant there. All right. So I'm going to tell you guys what I always tell you here. So if you've been here many times, you can go get a bathroom run or go to the fridge and get a beer or whatever. Tuesdays and Saturdays are for you guys. This is questions and answers after my little soliloquy. Okay. You guys, this is where I want to hear what's on your guys' mind, answer your questions, discuss what you guys want to talk about. Okay. If you have a question for me, like every other YouTube channel out there, please put it in all caps. Okay. If you want to have conversations amongst yourselves, which I totally encourage, because God knows I don't have all the answers, just please keep those in lowercase letters so I can scroll through the chat real fast and get to more questions quicker. What I do ask of everybody is to keep it civil. Okay. PG-13 is pretty much the standard. I like to keep everything around here. All right. Because occasionally I will get a little salty. But as the way I put it, your teenagers heard the language I use, your 6-year-old probably shouldn't. Okay. So if you figure it out from there. I go through, I try to answer as many questions as I can. I don't skip over anybody. I don't blacklist anybody unless you're being an ass. Okay. If you're going to be an ass, that's what the moderators are in for, and these guys are sheepdogs that take care of the sheep real well. Okay, that's probably a bad term calling you guys sheep, but that was just what popped into my head. So sorry, not calling you sheep. All right, they are the executioners. We don't do 300-second timeouts here. You want to be an ass, don't plan on making a second comment. You won't be coming back. Okay, so it's just goodbye. So keep it polite. Disagreement is fine. Okay, being rude or obnoxious to either me or to anybody else in the chat is not acceptable. As for the questions, I will talk about anything you guys want to talk about. The only request I have is that you leave some of the YouTube taboo subjects off the table. No Let's Go Brandons, no FJBs, no talk about the 2020 election, and no talk about climate change. Okay, those are the topics that YouTube will put you in jail and put me in jail for you saying something about it in here. So we'll stay away from it. If somebody types one of those comments, the moderators will quickly get rid of the comment. I will never even see it, and you won't have a chance to make a second time. So that being said, let's have a little bit of fun, because today's been a wild day, as you can tell. So I will go as far to the top as I can. You all know how chat works. You get up there. I mean, it's probably the first chat, the first comment I have is probably already 5 after 8 or something like that. So if I don't see your comment, please put it in a second time. Joanne Riley starts off, hi Pinball. I was wondering if you inoculate your peas and beans. Is it cost effective? Yes, I do. If you go back and look at the 2 videos that I linked yesterday, I think or Sunday, whenever I did those gardening videos, I linked the ones to doing the pea videos last year, not only planting them, but then also, putting them in the gutters, but then also when I put the gutters in the garden. But if you look at the first one, when I planted them, you'll see I inoculated them. Cost effectiveness, yeah, you're getting a ton of inoculant for the money. Can I tell you it's good or bad? Not really, because I've never done a test with 2 peas side by side, one that has been, one hasn't. Okay, I've just never had a problem with it. So it's one of those things, if it ain't broke, don't fix it for me. Okay. Inside Russia says, Pinball Preparedness, RT is a pretty decent news outlet. Yes, exactly. That's what I found. They're a straight shooter. I mean, sure, there's a little bit in their op-ed section, a little bit that's going to be slanted, but it's the op-ed section. You'd figure that it's not the main news. What I'd like about RT versus the United States news is RT is pretty much facts, no opinion in the news. Okay, they leave the opinion on the op-ed. All right. The only other thing I don't like about it is they seem to have this infatuation with all these women who are taking pictures in underwear or bikinis or whatever in front of St. Basil's, and every day there's a new story about that, but hey, that's their problem. Patricia Lavassier says RT is reliable. Again, I agree. Adam Burton, Pinball, what are my thoughts on the Canadian truckers convoy? I absolutely love this. Okay. And I love the comments that are coming out. Last I saw, they've raised over $3 million for gas and food for the truckers. There are people setting up at truck stops and stuff like that, buffet tables for these guys to stop. There are people that are opening up their homes for the truckers to come in, take a shower, get a night's rest, whatever would be as they're driving. 50,000 some odd truckers are heading to Ottawa. Okay. Think about the biggest parking lot you can think of, and they ain't all going to fit. Okay. Some of the videos you see, helicopters going over, and they'll fly, and it's just trucks for miles. Okay. The people are supporting these guys. As I said in a video, there's about 16,000 unvaxxed truckers in Canada. There's 50,000 truckers participating in this thing. That means 34,000 are saying, yeah, I got it, but I don't like this government overreach. Okay. This is the thing. This isn't an anti-vax protest. This is an anti-mandate protest. Now, of course, you've heard the stories about Trudeau wants to declare them terrorists. He's going to call out the military on them. Okay, what are they going to do? Put a roadblock up? Anybody remember the movie from the 70s, Convoy? Go watch that movie. That'll tell you what truckers think of, the military and cops when they're on a mission. That ain't happening. Sure, it was a movie, okay, but you go ask any truckers when there's a bunch of them in numbers like that, there ain't, biker gangs move out of the way. Let's put it that way. And then somebody had asked me today that I guess there's a rumor going around that Trudeau is going to fire all the truck drivers that participate. Really? I didn't realize that every truck job, no, not really to the person that sent me this, but to whoever decided to start this rumor, I didn't understand that, every truck driver is employed by the government in Canada. What's the best that Trudeau can do? Say, we're going to take away all their CDLs, commercial driver's license. Oh, that would be a real smart idea. Let's take 50,000 trucks off the road. Okay. The best comment about this, and I mentioned it in one of the videos, was, hey, Trudeau, the convoy of truckers is longer than the convoy of Russian troops being moved toward Ukraine. You better worry. A lot of truth to that. Trudeau has got to go. It's going to be interesting to see which one of the leftist leaders falls first. Okay, you could say Angela Merkel, but that was by election. But is Macron going to fall? Is Boris Johnson going to fall? Is Trudeau going to fall? Is Biden going to fall? One of them's going to fall. And then it's going to be a domino effect that the rest of the countries are going to go, screw it, ours is gone too. So to answer your question, yeah, I'm 110% in support of this. Okay. Not that that should surprise anybody. Fingirl ECG, Boris talked about sanctions. Yeah. Because again, Great Britain in regards to this whole thing is the US's lapdog. Okay. They're just going to do Biden/Obama's bidding and, okay, they told us to do it and we're going to go do it. It's a big deal. Okay. I'm not concerned. This is Biden against Putin. Ukraine just happens to be the chessboard. Okay. Kim, aren't we buying gas from Russia too now that our pipeline was shut down? Yes, we are. Okay. I mean, this is the thing that people need to realize. Europe, a lot of countries get natural gas from Russia. Shut off that. Can't think past here. How many times have I said that? Okay. The politicians don't care because, I don't think no matter what happens, the White House, the heat's going to get turned off or, whatever, 10 Downing Street or anything like that. I don't think you're worried about that. The rest of the country might be a little upset. And you want to see pitchforks and torches? Okay. Let the heads of state be in their nice little warm castles while all of us peasants are cold. Yeah, you're going to see some, pitchforks and torches quickly. David Williams, Pinball, Mrs. P, and Patriot family, good evening from Central Mexico. Love and respect as always. I'm back. Good. Glad to see you, David. Michelle H. Is Biden pulling his fuel from Russia, helping out Kazakhstan earlier this month? Okay, I'm not quite understanding. We didn't do anything in Kazakhstan. Russia went in to help. I think they were there for about 3 days to just quell the riots, and that was the extent of it. I don't think Kazakhstan's really got much to do at all with what's going on right now. That was over quickly, and the U.S. nobody else had to get involved. It was quelled real fast. Okay, that's Jacob reading the rules. Fingirl ECG says, can a mod please post the link to Inside Russia? Better yet, guys, if you can post the link to Constantine's premiere, that would be even better because then it's one click and everybody's right there. Yeah, there you go. So inside Russia is saying Russia's producing so much grain it only consumes a quarter. The rest is exported. We do not need Ukraine's grain. Exactly. Okay. That's China does. Russia doesn't. That's why I said all these wackos out there going, oh my God, Russia needs Ukraine's grain. All right, guys, you want to think about this. Ukraine is about the size of Texas. Its population is about 40 million people. Russia is the biggest country in the world, okay, landmass wise, with a population of around 200 million people. Okay. Texas could not feed the rest of North America, the United States and Canada, let's say. But that's what these people who are going, oh my God, are trying to say. So many times when you're watching these people, stop and think about this logically, because it doesn't make any sense what these armchair quarterbacks are trying to come up with. I mean, nobody's got a red phone to the Kremlin. I mean, Konstantine's got a better chance of talking to Putin than I do. Okay. But, you know, some of the things, figuring out logically, you know, with most leaders, they didn't get there because they're stupid. You know, okay. Joe Biden is a complete exception. So is Macron. So is Trudeau. Oh, never mind. Okay. Strike that last comment. Okay. Some leaders are there because they're not complete morons. Putin happens to be in that category. Never too old to learn. Can I talk about planting sweet potatoes? I want to know how to grow them. Okay. So sweet potatoes are completely different than any other vegetable that you're going to grow. And it's because they don't, well, they grow from the tuber. You can't plant the tuber and it'll grow. How you grow a regular potato? You know, you take a potato with some eyes on it, you put it in the ground, it grows a new plant and grows new tomatoes. A sweet potato is a little different. A sweet potato, you start out the same way. You put that sweet potato one of two ways. You can either put it in dirt, keep it watered, or you can do it like the avocado method. I showed this last year. You can put toothpicks in it, sit it in a glass with about half of it in water. You should have your sweet potato slips being started now, because even though they're planted in summer, it's going to take you 4 or 5 months to get good slips. All right. So I'm just telling you. What you're going to do is you're going to eventually, whether it's in the water or it's in the dirt, you're going to start seeing plants grow up from that sweet potato. Eventually, when it comes planting time, when you're well past your last frost, okay, you're going to take that sweet potato with all those slips growing up, and you're going to break that slip off right at the potato so you get the greenery and the root. You are going to plant that slip in the ground. You will wait 120 days and you will harvest. I did a video on how to do slips last year, so I didn't do one when I did my slips this year. If you want to see it, you can go back and watch it. It's in there. There's a playlist of gardening, and there's one that's on sweet potatoes, or I think sweet potatoes and a couple other things, because it's not a long video. So I put a few in that I was doing that day. But I'm going to be doing my sweet potatoes in straw bales again this year. So I did it in straw bales in 2019. They worked great. 2020, they did great. I did it in the ground in 2021. It sucked. I'm going to go back to straw bales because I have better luck with that. So I'm going to go that way. But when I come time to plant those, I will show you. But you need to start the slips now because it's going to take you a long time to get those slips. I hope that answers your question. Deanna Martin, Pinball, got a prepper question for you. You know how we should rotate through our food stock as it's used? Yes. Well, I'm not sure how to replace with all the threats to our food supply, not enough cans, recalls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is one of the things, you're not always going to be able to. You know, you're going to have to figure out what's available and what I can replace it with. You know, you've all been in the grocery store. I mean, everywhere around the country, you know, people are taking pictures of, look what's not on the shelf. Look what's not on the shelf. Okay. You know, so you get those all over the place. So you go to the store and a year ago, let's say you always bought Del Monte fruit cocktail, okay? You may not be able to buy Del Monte fruit cocktail anymore. You may have to buy Libby's or Walmart brand or something, but you can still get fruit cocktail. But then you also get into the situation where other things aren't available at all. And we're going to see more and more and more of this. You know, if one of the things you keep is cans of roast beef, for example, on your shelf, and all of a sudden there's no cans of roast beef at the store, you have to replace it with something, but you can't replace roast beef with fruit cocktail. You need to replace it with another protein. So, maybe at this point you're buying canned ham, deviled ham, or something, something like that. Think of by type of food: fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, etc. That's how you're going to have to do it, because as things get shorter and shorter and shorter, you're going to have less and less choices. So, whatever meats you can get, and I'm betting that your question probably is on proteins, okay? Start finding other things. Maybe you like I said, can't get turkey or chicken, or can't get chicken. Maybe you go get canned turkey instead, or you can't get beef. Maybe you get corned beef, or maybe you get canned hams or something like that. That's how you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to get creative as the shelves get barer and barer, and they're not going to get better. Let's just put it that way. I mean, the supply chain is a complete mess, and it's not going to be, oh, gee, we solved the supply chain. Monday, everything will be back to the same. If they fixed every problem that was with the supply chain that we had right now, it would be at least 2 months until the store shelves look back to normal. That's how backed up they are right now. CB says, wait, say that again. And unfortunately, I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay. Cody B, any more info on the concrete barriers around the White House? No, haven't heard a word on that. And there's no more pictures, no more nothing. So, I don't have an answer. Doug 11156. What are they trying to divert our attention away from? Well, I mean, pick the Obama playlist here. Could it be the southern border? Could it be inflation? Could it be the voting rights bill? Could it be Build Back Better? Could it be the stock market? I mean, pick something. Everything Joe touches turns to shit. Okay, he has the anti-Midas touch, no doubt. Joe could take a gold bar and turn it back into a lump of shit. But the one thing that I still, the two things that I think they're trying to divert us from: the economy completely just collapsing, completely falling in upon itself, or something happening in Taiwan. My gut tells me that the reason Joe is so tied up, hell-bent for leather on dealing with Ukraine is Ukraine's got some dirt on Hunter that has not been released, and he's doing whatever he can to keep that quiet. That's my gut telling me that one. Nick Collins, thoughts on the Chinese New Year and Olympics affecting the supply chain? I really don't think either one of them is going to have anything to do with it. The fact that China's got a whole bunch of ports shut down, that's pretty much it. Chinese New Year doesn't really mean a lick of difference to anybody outside of China or Chinatown. The Olympics, I was telling Mrs. P this yesterday. It still surprises the hell out of me that they have not canceled the Olympics. I mean, just flat out done it, because, Tianjin, the next province over, if you will, next city over from Beijing, lockdown. Okay. The ports locked down. They've got this hemorrhagic fever that's spreading around. Okay. Can't do anything like this, but somehow, some way, Beijing is supposed to be this shining city on a hill that's also clean and sterile and everything like that. Come on. Okay. Now, for those of you guys that are old enough, and Constantine will even remember this one too, all right, go back to the propaganda that was put out by the Soviet Union. All right, look at Chernobyl, for example. All right, the Soviet Union didn't even admit Chernobyl happened until, the Scandinavian countries were saying, we're detecting radiation. Okay, then they kind of had to admit it. Okay, 3 days later. That's the same thing with China. China's not going to tell you anything. So the entire world is sending their people, okay, athletes, trainers, coaches, whatever would be, in to participate in close quarters with one another. Want to talk about a super spreader event? Hey, sure. You know what? After these 2 weeks, everybody can go home to all their countries all around the world. Great, wonderful. Okay. You add in that monkey in Pennsylvania, and it's funny how they are not saying what this woman has. Okay, 24 hours of contacting the monkeys and the feces of the monkey. She had the symptoms of COVID, except they tested her for COVID and she was negative. Okay. Remember what I told you also has the early symptoms of COVID? Hemorrhagic fever. I want to know what this woman, what this woman caught, what these monkeys, what these lab monkeys were being tested for. That's not coming out in the news. By now we should know that. Okay, the story's a couple days old at this point. It's amazing how they're keeping that one quiet. Things like that are more concerning than the Chinese New Year. And we shot to the bottom. Okay. Sarah Connor, any updates on hemorrhagic fever in China? Okay, just told you what I know about it, so there's that. Mary Adams, what are my thoughts on a possible railroad strike? I don't blame the guys for wanting to go on strike. This stuff of, gee, if you've got a funeral to go to, if you're sick homesick from work or whatever it is, they're going to give, strikes against you and then can eventually fire you for it. Right now, if I'm in the transportation industry, be it trains, planes, automobiles, trucks, whatever it is, the last thing I'm trying to do is piss off any of my employees. I certainly don't want to get rid of them. You can't let the employees run the reservation. Sure, there's still rules that have to be followed. But if a guy's got grandma died and he wants to go to the funeral, don't punish him for it. If he tested positive for COVID, don't punish him for it. You want him to stay home. He's going home. Don't punish him and say, well, gee, now you're going to have a strike against you 2 more or whatever it is, and you lose your job. Yeah, you know what? I'm not a union guy, but in regards to this strike, in this situation, I agree with them. Charlene Smith, can you post your email if we want to share something newsworthy with you? It's in the description under every video. Even here, if you go down and look in the description under this, it's got my PayPal and my Cash App, my physical address, and my email address. It's under every video I put up there for you guys to look at anytime. It's pinballpreparedness at protonmail.com. South Colorado Stetter, do I think our athletes will be safe at the Olympics? I feel they shouldn't be going. I absolutely wouldn't be going. Look at what the NHL said. No, we're not sending any of the NHL players. Why? COVID. Okay. Talk about going right into the fire. Of all places to have the Olympics. I mean, Beijing. I mean, hell, the only place would be worse if we had the Olympics in Wuhan. Okay, that would be it. Robert, yes, I got that email that you sent me about the escaped monkeys. Yes. Francine Zayats, why doesn't our involvement in Ukraine have to be voted on in Congress if they deploy our troops? There's the little interesting one, okay? Congress has to declare war. If we don't declare war, the president is the commander in chief, and the president can send troops wherever he wants. Okay. That's a little thing that's kind of been completely abused since Korea, basically. It's, well, gee, if we don't declare war officially, we don't need Congress to do it. It's, again, politicians playing games with the rules. Sorry, I need something to drink. Let's see. Polar Patriot says YouTube making us turn on history. Well, there's a lot to learn from history, so yeah, the more people that go learn from it, maybe it stops some of the stupidity we got going on. Jamie Dolan, I'm going to try some straw bales this year, especially for potatoes, and dig a root cellar, hopefully big enough for a storm shelter too. Yeah, I mean, if you have crappy soil or small areas to plant or whatever, straw bales are a wonderful way to make a temporary raised bed, if you will. And I'll show you how to do it, because there's a little bit more to it than just putting a straw bale there and planting it. You got to condition the straw bale, and that takes a couple of weeks to do it. But I'll show you guys that when we get there this spring, so you can do it. But if you want to plant tomatoes or peppers or potatoes or something like that, go for it. It'll work well. GG, where do you get straw bales? There's a feed store here that I can get them from. Depending on where you are, a Tractor Supply, maybe a Rural King, any of the stores where a farmer go get stuff, you're going to find it. So a tractor, farm, the Farm and Field or Farm and Tractor or something like that. Your local co-ops, maybe. I mean, if you got online and looked and made a couple of phone calls, if there's somebody who raises horses around you, ask them where they get their straw from. And I mean, there's your lead right there. Hey, Sue says, write down or print out or get books for everything. Yes, definitely something to do. Have a hard copy of everything, especially important stuff, phone numbers, addresses, maps, recipes, things like that. Don't keep it all on your computer. Don't think your GPS is going to work or anything like that. You never know what's going to hit. And the last thing you want to be doing is going, how do I get to my bug out location? I've only been there once. I just put it in my GPS. Doesn't work. Rooster, prayers please. Family for my friend Sandy, who left behind a husband and 2 late teens. She lost her battle with COVID. Oh man. Brother, you are having a hell of a time lately with people, but yes, prayers for Sandy and her family. Yarn Prepper says, buy your Keystone meats if you can find them local. They're getting harder and harder to find. I mean, that's the thing. Some of the longer term food is, the prepper type stuff, if you will. Augustin Farms, we haven't been able to find a lot of that lately. I mean, Keystone, it's, getting extremely expensive if you can find it. Rusty Shackelford, Pinball, if you had to get one prepping book, what would you choose? Something on medical. I think that the biggest thing I would do would be something on natural remedies. I did a video on it one time, whatever, went through some of the book I've got, which is not handy right here, but how to use plantain, how to use lemon balm, how to use echinacea or something like that. I think the medicinal values of foraging plants. I think if I can only pick one, that would probably be what I'd get. Turkey out of chicken, sure, yeah. I mean, you're just dehydrating it, so I mean, not a big deal there. Flavor it up however you want, and then dehydrate the hell out of it. Cook it and then dehydrate it. K. Geisel, RN says, you jobs have a tough job tonight. Yeah, apparently we've had a fun time lately. You guys don't get to see it anymore. The thumbs down on videos. Apparently the trolls are really liking my videos. They're hitting 35, 40 thumbs down a day, which is fine because you guys are hitting, 1,500, 2,000 thumbs up. So, but I always laugh because I know it's the same 20 people or whatever it is. It's like, oh, Pinball put a video out. Let's just go watch it for 2 seconds so we can hit dislike. And I go, BFD. Thanks, guys, because all you're doing is moving me up in the algorithm by doing it anyway. Thumbs down, thumbs up doesn't make a lick of difference. It's just showing activity on the video. So, and I don't know who did it. So it's not like, oh, gee, John Smith doesn't like me. First off, I wouldn't care if he didn't. But second off, I don't even know. So you're doing it anonymously, BFD. Shelley Lamothe, do I think we'll make it another 3 years? Isn't that a scary thing that you've even got to ask that question? I mean, there have been incompetent leaders in the United States. There have been incompetent leaders in every country. Joe's got to be in the top 10 in history of the most incompetent leaders ever. I mean, Jimmy Carter was a bust. Barack Obama was a bust. But never in my life, and probably anybody else's here, have you ever seen a president who before he's completed his first year of his term, his party is already talking about who's going to replace him in the next election? I mean, every day you pick up another story. Who's gonna run for president in 2024? Oh, Biden, oh, Harris, oh, Hillary Clinton, oh, gee, every one of them loses to Trump in a hypothetical matchup. I'll tell you this right now. Whoever runs in 2024 for the Democrats is going to be somebody that most of us haven't heard of today. Okay. It's going to be some obscure governor or something like that they're going to pull a Barack Obama out of the hat somewhere, go, okay, here's a senator nobody's heard of before. Let's run this guy. That's where it'll be. So, all polish, no substance. That seems to be the best thing that the Democrats have going for them, because Biden's no polish, no substance, and that's not working. Let's see. Green to red. How long do you think it will take to impeach the prune in charge? Well, let's see. The elections are in November. Congress gets seated in January. What is around the 4th? January 5th. It ain't going to take long, especially if you have 6, because there's going to be a landslide in the House. What's going to be more interesting is if the GOP can pick up 10 senators, because if somehow, some way they could get to 60, it's over. I mean, that's nothing. The downside is, like I keep saying, is then you have the cackling hen, and she'd be your president. And I mean, she's not qualified to run the ice cream store that Joe goes to. But that, it's going to be real interesting to see what happens after the elections. Duckman, yeah, when you say port shut down, does that include the ones they have here? I do not believe so. I think it's just the ones in China, because they're shutting them down for people there that have tested positive. Yep. Inside Russia says they're hiding Chernobyl for 3 or 4 days. Yep. Yes, exactly. Something Laura Olympics. When do you think you'll be able to visit North Shore freely up north? Also, a Costco employee said he liked the former president. I have no idea when people are going to be able to travel freely to Canada, and I don't understand the context of a Costco employee saying you like Trump, so I lost there. Voodoo Queen, Pinball are running a fundraiser, or is this just a YTube upgrade? I don't understand the context of this either. Sorry. Mender Mom, what size hay bale for planting the potatoes? First off, straw bale. Don't use hay. You'll have hay growing all over the place. But your standard, what are they? 4 feet by 2 foot by 2 foot, something like that. Whatever the standard size straw bale. But you can use hay. Just plan on having hay growing all over the place because it's full of seeds. You get straw. Shot to the bottom again. Roivinator, AK or AR rifle. I'm ex-Army. It's an AR for me. Paul Gorecki, War Powers Act of 73 needs to be dusted off, improved, and put to use. There's a lot. The Constitution needs to be, brought out, dusted off, and put to use. That would be a hell of a concept. D. Brown, Wisconsin voted yes for a convention of states. Where are your states at? Yeah, I think they still need 14 or 16 states to sign on before that can be done. I really don't understand why I can understand some of the blue states because they are so brainwashed that there's no way they're going to want to, California is never going to come in and say, let's do it. I mean, California is done. Okay. California would be taken over by China and nobody'd notice, or taken over by Mexico, either one. Okay. But you get states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, that are blue, but all it takes is the wind to blow the other direction and they flip. And those states, I'm surprised, haven't jumped in and said, yes, we want to do it. Like we just said, Wisconsin did. But it's the other ones, the hardcore communist states. Nah, they don't care. But you think every red state and the borderline ones would all be interested in straightening this out. There we go. Rooster Farm and Home Stores for say. Positive, boy, that's a cute name. Positive Catitude. What's the best veggies for container gardening? I live on the coast with lots of salt in the air. Depends on the size. It depends on the container. We'll use this. Let's say a 5-gallon bucket, okay? Because I think anybody can get a hold of a 5-gallon bucket and grow. You can grow potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, carrots, anything like that in a 5-gallon bucket. Avoid things like zucchini or any kind of squash, anything that's going to be a trailing vine. Don't grow cucumbers because those will get unmanageable in a 5-gallon bucket. But potatoes, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, I'd pole beans, but you're going to need to have a few getting a one plant worth of beans is going to get you a couple of meals. Big deal. I mean, it's not worth the effort. You need something that's going to get you some substance. I would probably stick with potatoes, tomatoes, and sweet potatoes. Those would be the ones I'd say would be best, just for compactness of size and volume of return. Gina M, what do you need to do to condition the straw for planting? Okay, and there's a process to it. Okay, but what you need is something that's high in nitrogen and water. Okay, basically what you're doing is you're starting the straw bale to compost inside. The straw is all a brown material, so you need something that's high in nitrogen. So nitrogen fertilizer, Miracle Grow, stuff like that works. Again, you guys always love when I talk about using urine, coffee grounds, that sort of stuff works. but it's not like you do it once and you do it again, and you're done. There's, a process. You're putting day one, you're putting a cup in, watering it through. Day two, you're just watering. Day three, you're putting a cup in. Day four, you're just watering. Day five, you're putting a half a cup in. So there's a whole process to it that you need to do, because you want it to get to compost, but you don't want it to compost out so fast that you wind up having nothing in there. Okay, so yeah, what you need to have is, just so you guys know when you're ready, you need to have hay bales, and you need to have a significant amount of a source of nitrogen. Okay, and like I said, you can use urine, so you're going to be able to get a significant source. You don't have to start collecting that now. Coffee grounds, yeah, you got to start collecting. Colleen Avery says, hay bales, if you have a farm within driving distance, don't be lazy. 2 to 3 hours isn't bad. You can get them for $5. Timothy Hay too. Yeah, I'd say $4 or $5. That's usually about the cost of a hay bale anymore, or a straw bale. Mongo0317, pinball, is the proton mail still good? Yeah, it's always been good. I can open it up right now, and there's a email in there from Rob Foster. So back to where we were. Colleen Avery says, one book where there is no doctor. Excellent. Okay, I'm guessing that's, like I said, a medical book of some sort. Jersey Prepper, what are the chances that Russia and China hit at the same time, and can we fight on both fronts? I don't think we would. Okay, at that, because we don't have the strength in numbers. I mean, remember, they just broomed a bunch of people for refusing the mandates. Okay, and there's a lot more, logistically, to handle anything. I still don't think anything's going to go on in Ukraine. Okay, and if anything did, you'd have a token force over there. That would be it. Okay, China, that's a bigger issue. Okay, but we haven't got that far. The thing is, you guys got to remember this. All right, the World Economic Forum, they want globalism. We talked about this for the better part of a year. But they need to get China, Russia, and the United States on board. Otherwise, it will not work. Okay, they cannot get a global government. Well, we know that the U.S. is completely caved. Okay, I mean, Biden would hand over the keys to the United States to Klaus Schwab in a second. China, on the other hand, said hell no. China's become a very populist country. Okay, it's China first policy, kind of like what we had a year ago, but got rid of for the potato in chief. And then when China went and made Xi Jinping the potential president for life, that really put a fork in the World Economic Forum. So now the best they can have is 2 out of 3, and Russia's the wild card right here. All right, if Russia can go into the world, we want to be part of a world government, they have a chance. If they say no, never going to happen. Personally, and I think Constantine will agree with me on this, I don't ever see the Russians giving up and saying, oh, okay, we'll just be Earthlings instead of Russians. There's way too much pride in Russia, okay, for them to ever give up to anybody. So, the World Economic Forum is back on its heels right now, and Biden is doing whatever he can to save the globalists. Dumbass. Okay, a couple of guys talking about J.B. Schaefer says Herbal Medic, a good book. Justin Taylor says the same book. Not fooled, I know the truth. Have you heard Dr. John Campbell, Freedom of Information Revelation? No, I have no idea what you're talking about. No Whining says don't use hay. Weeds will be in your crop. Yep. Pea straw. Pea straw would be good, just hard to find. Okay, I mean, unless you got tons and tons of peas. I mean, I'm going to plant like 1,800 pea plants, and I wouldn't make enough straw once the plants go to grow my sweet potatoes. So yeah, you'd have to almost have a pea farm around somewhere. Okay, more medical books. Flint McRock, did I see where Pelosi said she's running again for her 18th term? Yeah, I cannot believe that witch will not retire. I mean, congratulations, Nancy. You are going to be the first Democrat House Speaker to lose control of the House twice. But again, a jelly donut, if you put a D after its name, can win in San Francisco. Okay. So, I think Nancy Pelosi's rating or something like that was like 13%, her approval rating. Okay. And I guarantee she still gets elected in a landslide. 13% positive. Yet that's the best they got to offer. I mean, I look at California and I go, this state used to be so beautiful, was what every other state wanted to be. And now we have, I mean, let's go through this, okay? You have Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Eric Swalwell, Gavin Newsom, Adam Schiff. I mean, how many incompetent people are there in California? I mean, do you have, if you live in California, do you have to fill out an application to go on the congressional ballot and go, I'm a complete dumbass? Yes, you're qualified. You're elected. Truth Seeker, top 3 items on my prepping wish list. I want my pond because I want a water source in the yard. God, it's a wish list. If it's a wish list of something that I know I'll never have, I would love to have an escape tunnel somewhere out of the house. Man, what else? Yeah, I can't even think of something like that. Yeah, the pond is a realistic idea. The escape tunnel's never happening. So there's actually one guy on YouTube, I think he's in Great Britain or something like that. He's actually hand digging an escape tunnel from his house. It's actually pretty fun to watch this guy do this. Yeah, you can tell it's wintertime and I get bored. We need Chuck Norris. There you go, Romy. Sarah Connor, I'm terrified AOC will be the 2024 Democrat candidate. Can you imagine? I mean, let's just think about this. I mean, Donald Trump pulls no punches. Let's just say it's Donald Trump against AOC. Can you imagine that debate? Could you imagine the commercials? I mean, this would be must-see TV for sure. Because the scary part is if she actually won, but that would be so hilarious. I mean, for a year, the late night comedians might actually have people watch them. It's just funny. Aquaseek and Hillary circling above Biden like an old buzzard. Yeah, I saw it today though. Her approval numbers are worse than Biden's. So the only one who thinks Hillary's got a chance of winning is Hillary. I can fix that. What kind of rice would you put away? White rice. Okay, can't put away brown rice. The oils make it go rancid. You need white rice. Free American says, I believe AOC is going to run. She may run, okay, but she'll be like Kamala. She'll never get to the first primary because she's a joke. I mean, not everybody in the country votes like the idiots in the Bronx and Brooklyn, where she's from. Let's see. Scroll up here again because we got shut down the bottom. Shannon Myers, how many laying hens for a limited space for feeding 2 adults? That's a question for the community. I can't answer that one for you. I don't have chickens. Deb Martin, Pinball, do you think it's a good idea for preppers to learn bushcrafting skills just in case? Some, yes. Okay. And some of them you should already know, how to build a tent, how to build a lean-to, how to start a fire. Some is how to collect water out in the bush. Some of those things you do need to know. I mean, you don't need to learn the real intricate stuff, but the basics, yes. I mean, learn the bushcraft skills that you go, okay, what would a Cub Scout learn? And if you learn those, you're probably good enough for getting by. If the world gets worse than that, you're not planning on living in being Grizzly Adams, so. Oh shit, it's 9:00. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't even know what time it was. Let's get out of here and go watch Constantine stuff. See y'all. Pinball out.